Yeah, Doe one, Rocky Mountain Sports Report, yeah, live and direct. Keep 'em shook, defend like Champ Bailey and Adam Foot, no joking. I'll block it out like Jokic, and now you see him blurry. Lost in the rain of threes from Jamal Murray. Oh, step up to the plate. Colorado landscape outstanding, reporting all the facts in. We out the park like black men, or better yet, Chuck Nasty, cause RMS all his family built tough, yeah, like Ed McCaffrey. If we only got one rule, in my orange and blue, a mile high salute. So while the rest is lacking, I'm on my goals like stacking. Time to slaughter, be hitting hard like Atwater Gold Glove. 300 club like the Todd Father.
Hey everybody, this is David with Rocky Mountain Sports Report, here to let you know that Avicor Mobile Power Wash is an industry leader in commercial cleaning services. They specialize in washing commercial vehicles, including but not limited to tractors, trailers, bobcats, front loaders, rear loaders, pickups, and much more. Have an oil stain? Give Avicor a call. Oil spills? Call Avicor. Parking lot, sidewalks, and commercial containers, you know who to call. Avicor. If you need it clean and want the best prices in town, then give Avicor Mobile Power Wash a call at 303-585-1129. All right, hey, good morning, everybody. Good morning, Bronco Country. This is the Rocky Mountain Sports Report, Denver Broncos pregame show. I'm David, joined by Alex and Matt. How are you gentlemen doing today?
Doing good.
Oh, I'm fantastic. Glad to be here with you guys.
All right. Let's start out. There's been some updates just popped out. Garrett Bowles is out today with the illness. Sylvester Williams is out today with an illness. What's this mean for Drew Lock? I mean, we already have Glasgow out on the offensive line. So what's this mean for pass protection and things like that? Matt, we'll start with you.
All right. So the loss of Bowles is going to be huge. They've built somewhat of a chemistry together throughout this season. Gold is vastly improved. That means we're probably going to see Elijah out there. And the one time he started in the left tackle spot, he struggled terribly. I mean, he struggled earlier this season in the right tackle spot. So there's going to be some heavy pressure. They're going to have to set a tight end on his side, help him out, chip the edge. Carolina's got a nasty pass rush. They got Brian Burns out there. They're gonna be going after Elijah pretty hard today, especially since this is his first game back and since his injury. So he's been out majority of the season. So it's going to be a rusty game there. The one that I'm excited though is so Glasgow. He's out. We're putting in Netane Moody. Moody is a mauler. He's from Utah. He specialized in those pull plays that we seen work so well for us a couple weeks ago when we were seeing Reisner pull. So expect Moody to pull. If his foot's doing good, he's going to be pulling, and that's going to be opening those running lanes. With Garrett Bowles out, we're going to rely on the run game for sure.
Yeah. Alex, Carolina not huge on the sacks this year. They, 18 over the season. So, but two people that are sort of, not used to this. I mean, if we throw Elijah Wilkinson, I'm not sure who's going. I heard Elijah Wilkinson. I've heard Calvin Anderson. Not sure who's really going to go at left tackle for Bowles. But that can be dangerous. How do we slow down, like Matt said, how do we slow down this Carolina pass rush now? Even though they don't have a lot of sacks, they still have the ability to put pressure on them.
Well, with them not having as many sacks as I would assume that they would like to have, I would look for them to attack our weak spot, and that being with Garrett Bowles being out, and the way Elijah Wilkinson has played in the past, I would look for them to attack that side of the offensive line. And what we're going to have to do, it's plain and simple, what we're going to have to do to help that is, like Matt said earlier, we're going to have to run the football effectively. If we can get the ball in Phillip Lindsay's hands or Melvin Gordon's hands, and we can get, chunk yardage on, first and downs or second and downs, whatever it may be, we're just going to have to run the ball effectively, and hopefully that'll slow down their pass rush.
Yeah, and Scott Cole has has confirmed that Calvin Anderson has been announced as the starter at left tackle today. So now
Well,
you
and
said, go ahead, Alex.
I'm glad they started Calvin Anderson over Elijah Wilkinson because, like Matt said, we haven't seen many great things from Elijah Wilkinson in the past few times we've seen him out on the field, and why not get this Anderson guy a start? Get him see what he can do and see if he can bring something to this team. So
Yeah, and hopefully he can. I agree. I think Denver's really now going to have to try to establish this running game. And
Easier said than done. So
I agree. It
just
is.
looking at, I just brought up their depth chart. So this is what we're having to go against. So Brian Burns and Yetur Gross-Matos. Those are both, well, Burns is a second-year player. Gross-Matos is a rookie this year. They both have star potential. And then they got a Derek Brown as well out there. So that we're going to struggle if they're lining up Derek Brown and Moody, which I'm expecting they're going to do, just test him. Derek Brown's been getting interior pressure all year. I think he hasn't really gotten too many sacks. He's a defensive tackle, but that interior pressure has been there. He's been a stopgap in the run. Him and Jeremy Chin have been the highlights of their defense this year. So we got to just their defense is young. So similar to how young our offense is, their defense is extremely young. Over time, I expect this defensive unit to be pretty solid. So let's not make today their breakout game against us. That's the goal.
No, I agree. And Derek Brown just coming back off of COVID. He wasn't out as long as Shelby Harris was for the Broncos, but I still think COVID, wears you down a little bit. And so hopefully we can take advantage of that. Hopefully he's not going to be, 100%, and he'll sort of be limited on snaps like Shelby Harris was last week for the Broncos. But, yeah, it's going to be a tough go. I mean, Carolina is a middle-of-the-road rush defense. I mean, they give up around 115 yards a game. What do you think, Alex, for the passing game that we need to do to sort of keep some of these things, these rushers at bay?
So it's like I've been saying all year, we're going to have to do quick routes, something to get the ball out of Drew Lock's hands as fast as possible. And if we can do that and we run the ball effectively again, I would look for Drew Lock to be throwing the ball within 2 to 3 seconds per attempt. It can't be much longer than that, because if we let him sit in the pocket and absorb contact, eventually it's going to rattle him, and that's when we know Drew Lock makes bad mistakes. So,
no, I agree. I think they need to be quick routes. He needs to get the ball out quick. Hopefully he can do that. What's your thoughts, Matt? Do you think Drew Lock has that capability to adjust his game to get rid of the ball quick and not hold on to it?
I think that comes down to, is Pat Shurmur willing to run the similar offense to what he ran against Kansas City? That's when we ran those real tight sets, 2 tight ends on the field. Those kind of sets that's taken the deep ball away. I know that was frustrating to some of the receivers last week, but it helped Drew protect the ball. It helped his footwork improve at least a little bit. So I think if we're successfully able to get the run game going and then stay in a similar offensive scheme as we did last week, he could be successful in those 5 to 10 yard routes. Noah Fent should have a big game. He's got a rookie on him, Jeremy Chin. He's raw. He played well last week. I think he had like two touchdowns last week, a fumble and a pick. But Noah Fant's a big body tight end. He's fast. He should be, if Drew can put it on him where he needs to put it on him, he should have a field day. Look at, if they are going to pass the game, that's the target. He needs to have at least 8 to 10 targets. I say 110 yards for us to win.
Right. So now with all these recent developments, do you think this affects Lindsey Phillips and how he's going to be used in this game? Or Philip Lindsay, I do it every time. I'm sorry, guys, but I see Alex smirking, so I know. Philip Lindsay, do you think this affects how he's going to be used in the game, how much he's going to be used? Because now we may have to have the likes of Gordon and Freeman back there, to help with pass protection, to help this offensive line out. I mean, what are your thoughts, Alex?
Matt mentioned earlier that this is a young defense, similar to how the Broncos offense looks on the offensive side of the ball. So for that what that means to me is that they're going to make mistakes. And I think that Philip Lindsay, when given the right opportunity, can be a decent pass protector. I know that he's not the best. I know that Royce Freeman and I know that Melvin Gordon are far better at that than him. But at the end of the day, we can't just give away cues where if they see Philip Lindsay in the backfield, they're going to know we're going to run. So there's got to be a point where Philip Lindsay has to sit back there and take some hits and protect Drew Lock and make it happen. Because if not, that every time he comes onto the field, the defense is just going to know at the end of the day that they're going to either run the ball or he has nothing to do with the play. So it's just something that's got to happen. Whether Philip Lindsay likes it or not, he's got to step up. That's something that these NFL players strive on is, no days off. That I hear them all the time talking about how they're always working. Well, Philip Lindsay needs to be working on that pass protection. So no excuses anymore.
All right. And Scott says that, you know what, you're on the money with Lindsay, Alex, and I agree. This is where Philip Lindsay can really make a mark with this team. If he can come out here and prove that he can pass block, and be effective in the pass game, because right now he's a one-dimensional back, and I see that as his end in Denver if he can't come out here. Sort of like Locke is on trial right now. I think Lindsay's on trial as well. I think he needs to show something these next 4 games because it's a passing league in the NFL now. We can't just have him all the time. Everybody knowing, well, he's in the game, so here comes a run, 90% of the time. So I think he needs to establish himself as an option in the passing game. What are your thoughts, Matt?
Yeah, no, I completely agree with both of you guys. So he has proven to be somewhat one-dimensional. He's phenomenal at what he does, and for some people that's enough. To just be a physical runner, but with his size and stature, he can't just be a physical runner. It's not going to last long. His body's going to wear down. We're already seeing that happen this year with the several little injuries, and then a couple. What was it last year? He had the wrist. So I mean, he's going to have to prove that he could do something different. Whether that is picking up a blocker then and just kind of confusing defenses, or he's going to have to become somewhat of a threat in the receiving game. Does that mean he has to put up like Christian McCaffrey numbers or Alvin Kamara numbers? No, but slide out, hit the screen, but actually catch the damn ball. That's right. What it comes down to, because he has the lateral quickness to really take a screen for big chunk yards, but it seems like either Locke can't get the ball to him, he overthrows him. I mean, Locke is used to hitting those 6'4" tight ends. He's sometimes overthrows those guys too, but he's got to put the ball on Lindsay. But when it hits Lindsay in the chest, you got to catch it, man. You got to catch it.
And I agree 100%. Lindsay needs to really step up here, and this is his opportunity. Another thing, we've heard the grumblings, over the last week. How do we get Jerry Jeudy more involved in the passing game, Alex?
Well, the first thing that we need to do to get Jerry Jeudy more involved in the passing game is delete his Twitter account. But the second thing we need to do is we gotta, like I said earlier with Drew Lock, we gotta paint simple routes out there on the field. Whether that's a 5 and in or a 10 and in, whatever it's gonna be. We all know that Jerry Jeudy has the quickness, the lateral quickness to separate from almost any defender in this league. And at the end of the day, it comes down to whether or not he's open enough for this young Lock to see him open in the field. I know that Kansas City has a great secondary with Honey Badger and a few other names on there. So I understand why he wasn't open very much in the Kansas City game. But now we come to a Carolina defense that is, like we've mentioned earlier in the show, young and inexperienced. So this is where we look for Jerry Jeudy to put his mark on this game. And if he can't, then I think he kind of find himself in the spotlight as well. So,
yeah, today for Jerry Jeudy, the key's going to be getting him lined up against Rasul Douglas. Rasul Douglas, he actually started off as a safety out in Philadelphia. He doesn't have the quickness nor the footwork to keep up with Jerry Jeudy's, elusiveness. Jerry Jeudy's footwork is probably, even though he's a rookie, his footwork's probably top 5 in the league. Doesn't help if all that footwork doesn't help you if you can't catch the ball when it's put on you. So Jerry, come on, you got to same thing, same message we just sent Phil. Catch the ball when it's put on you. So hit it, I think they also need to switch him up a little bit. I think they've been using him as the primary receiver for the primary routes, like what we would see Sutton run. He lacks the size Sutton has. Let's see Patrick see that. Let's see Patrick in that role today. Let's let Judy go across the middle on those 5 and 10 ins and slants. Let's see what that looks like and see if we can get him the ball that way.
And I agree with that. Now, I think that's where Jerry Jeudy excelled in college was, those across the middle routes where he would get hit with his speed and his route running. He would get separation off the line of scrimmage, and then get big yards after the catch. And I think that's the way we need to utilize him today. Let's jump back on Philip Lindsay really quick because we have quite a few comments here. And, Lindsay tends to run right up the middle. Majority of the time he's getting stuffed by the defense. And I have noticed that of lately, and Matt and I talked about this. We didn't know if it had to do with his knee injury or what's going on, but he looks like he's just running right into the line of scrimmage and not even seeking out the hole. So we're not sure if there's something going on with his knee, if he's afraid to quit or cut, or what. I mean, also another one is let me see. Lindsay did have a bad game, the last game. I mean, just running right into the line. It looked like him running right. Sometimes it looked like he's just running right into the back of his offensive lineman. So,
yeah, definitely. Last week, just referring back to that, I definitely think it was the knee. I don't think he was ready. We weren't seeing him do his traditional stutter steps, which he usually does behind the line of scrimmage, kind of his feints. He wasn't doing it, like you said. He was literally just running into the back of his lineman. So if that knee is a good to go, I think we'll see him bring back that stutter step today. That's how we'll know if he's 100%.
Okay.
That's just one of those little keys.
Yeah. Let's talk about this really quick by Jason Kennedy. Then we're going to take a quick break. But he says design plays to get our playmakers involved. And that's what we need to do. And this is really on Shermer, to call a good game and to be creative out there to get these guys involved. So how do you think we go about this, Matt and Alex? And,
So one way that I was thinking, so we just talked about getting the ball into Jerry Jeudy's hands. So once we get Locke feeling a little confident, get a rhythm going, whether that's hitting, the tight ends on the 5-10 or hitting someone in the flats. Let's get a wide receiver screen going. That was a big part of the West Coast offense. We used to see Demaryius Thomas, catch it and go 80 yards, 70 yards, 60 yards. Mm-hmm. Jerry Jeudy has the quickness and when he gets the ball in his hand, he's an elusive runner. He's one of the more elusive receivers. He's similar to like what OJ was with, the spins and the jukes and the stutter steps. He has a lot of, weapons for him to use as a ball carrier. So let's see if we get him in that screen. Let's see if he breaks it for a big one.
And that's the first thing he has to do, Alex, is he has to catch the ball.
Yeah,
he needs to secure the ball because last game he dropped 50% of his targets, and that'll cause a quarterback to lose confidence. I mean, what's your thoughts, Alex?
Those drops in crucial times were, a big hit to Locke, and I think that it made him feel like he was kind of not doing as well as he hoped, and it kind of gets you in that mind that, maybe things aren't going the way that you wanted to, maybe that the game plan isn't the one that you should have gone with, whatever it may be. It's going to put some sort of doubt in Drew Lock's mind if he's dropping key passes in crucial moments. So at the end of the day, what we got to do is we just got to keep hitting him with targets. And if he keeps dropping them, then that's on him. I know that puts Locke in a bad position, but if Locke is giving him catchable balls for him to catch and he's still dropping them just because or for the sake of it, then at least we know at that point that Jerry Jeudy is probably not going to be our guy moving forward. And I know it would suck to, waste that talent, but at the end of the day, you gotta do with what you have. And I think that if we find out what kind of talent we have on this team with Locke, with Jeudy, with Philip Lindsay, with Melvin Gordon, whoever it may be, as long as we can identify what kind of talent we have and what we can do with it, I think that this team should ultimately be a better football team. And I believe that we have a chance of winning this Carolina football game. So,
okay, we'll take a quick break, then we'll come back. We'll talk about this a little bit more, and then we'll move on to when Carolina has the ball. All right, so let's talk about this a little bit more. And I don't think it's time to give up on Jerry Jeudy just yet. He's a rookie. It's a different game. But we'll see how things go. Jeudy should be going for the end zone, at least half the pass plays call. I don't think we're going to have time for that today, at least, with our offensive line situation. What do you think, Matt?
Not today. I mean, I want to keep Drew away from the long bombs as much as I can. If Judy's going to be in the end zone, let's hit him on a crossing route and see that footwork and that that elusiveness that I've been mentioning all game. Let's see that in play. If Drew starts throwing the long bomb, he's going to feel confident throwing the long bomb, and we've seen his lack of judgment when it gets to that. So I don't trust Locke throwing the ball deep right now. Let's establish the rhythm underneath, across the middle, in the flats. Maybe we catch him over the top, but I mean, let's not let Drew get comfortable throwing the bomb right now. He's just not in a spot in his career for it.
Right. No, I agree. He's not. He's struggling with the deep ball, his accuracy. His reads on coverage schemes and stuff like that, he's really struggling with. So I agree. Let's try to remove the deep ball from the game as much as possible. So really quick before we head over and talk about when Carolina has the ball and what Denver's defense needs to do. We had a special guy that played for us, back the no-fly zone days, Darian Stewart. Yes, was it yesterday or day before, came out and announced his retirement from the NFL. I mean, Alex, what do you remember about Darian Stewart? And do you think he's still capable of playing in the NFL?
I mean, yeah. I mean, I think that his time has come and gone, obviously, in the NFL. I don't think that he's quite ready to be, exiled from the NFL. I think he still has some talent, and I think that he could serve many teams in the NFL, maybe on their practice squad or, second team defense, whatever it may be. I think the dude still has a little left in the tank, but ultimately it's his decision. All I can remember from the dude, like you said, no fly zone, just flashes of greatness, all the time, just running around the field like he has no assignment, but at the end of the day, he's always in the right place, just a ball hawk at his very best, in his prime. He was one of my favorite players, and I remember watching him play here for Denver for a couple years, and it was just nothing but greatness in my eyes. That's all I remember. So
yeah, Matt, what are your thoughts? Our memories of Darian Stewart.
So yeah, just to kind of touch on, I do think he could be valuable in a team. Maybe one of these playoff contenders that has a battered secondary, or has some of these young guys coming up. One thing that was really praised about Darian Stewart when he was here was how well of a vocal leader he was, how willing he was to go over with some of the other younger guys with techniques, footwork, hip work, things like that. So I mean, he was just an outstanding guy in the locker room, is what was kind of preached around here. Some of my favorite memories. I mean, we seen him just be a great center fielder. We never really seen him. He laid the wood here and there, but he was more, the Justin Simmons type of what we have now. We've seen him have a couple interceptions to win us the game. I can't remember what team it is off the top of my head, but I remember team was driving. They got inside the red zone. Darian Stewart was there, pick it off, close the game, take home a victory.
Yeah. So
had a couple of those moments.
Yeah, I mean, I love Darian Stewart. I love the way he played ball. That was a great secondary we had during that time. So.
Well, another great play that nobody wants to talk about is in Super Bowl 50 when he picked off Cam Newton.
That Cam Newton guy?
Yeah, Cam Newton to seal the game basically for us. And I remember that play iconically just because he tried to run the ball 3 or 4 times, and I just remember him slipping and falling flat on his face 3 or 4 times in the same play. So, just another Darian Stewart iconic play, I think.
Okay. Hey, everybody out there listening, watching, this is your Broncos pregame show. We want to know what you guys think, what you guys want us to talk about. So shoot us some comments. I mean, we'll pick them up. We'll talk about them. I mean, we don't want to just sit here and be a bunch of talking heads. We want to involve you guys. So shoot us your comments. Let us know what you guys want to talk about, what your thoughts are on the game. Give us your score predictions. I know today it seems like every week we have something that is turning the whole thing upside down, Matt. We had the COVID game against the Saints. We had I forget what happened with the Chiefs, but there was something. Now we got Garrett Bowles out. We got Sylvester Williams out. It's just like it's never ending with this Broncos team this year. So our defense, boy, let's talk about our defense and how we're going to contain this Carolina offense.
So one thing I want to highlight, I want to give a shout out to someone on the Panthers, Matt Paradis, longtime Bronco.
Yep.
Great center. I mean, one of my favorite players along the offensive line for quite a few years we had here. He's a Boise State Bronco, so Bronco through and through until he left to go to Carolina. So give a quick shout out to him. So one thing that I want to point out with our defense is this is, we mentioned this is the battle of like the battered. So our secondary is atrocious right now. We have injuries, suspensions. They have a pretty great receiving core. They got Robbie Anderson, is it DJ Moore and Curtis Samuel.
Mm-hmm.
Those guys are quick, man. All of them are quick. And Teddy Bridgewater is not an elite quarterback by any means, but he's above average. He's careful with the football. He provides a dual threat. If we get too confident and we don't stay home on those edges, he'll burn us for a 10, 12-yard gain here and there. I said it in my prediction. I don't know if who's all seen it yet, but I expect Robbie Anderson to have a field day. Ojemudia just lacks the lateral quickness. Bosby, if Bosby's on him, maybe we see him get shut down, but that just leaves DJ Moore and Curtis Samuel. Curtis Samuel and Moore are both quick, man. They're fast.
And I have not heard on DJ Moore.
I know that they're missing out. Two of their three top receivers. So
DJ Moore is out now. Samuel is gonna play. Samuel has been he's been removed from the COVID list. DJ Moore has not. So
so then that
we're lucky there, but they still have Samuel. So, but it's gonna be a challenge for the Broncos secondary, Alex. And let's address this question really quick. Will we be streaming the game? Justin, no, unfortunately, we do not stream. We're not set up for that. We may look at that in the future, but there are plenty of streaming sites out there. Matt, do you know a few off the top of your head where somebody could stream a game and watch it?
Yes. So the best site to use is going to be sportsurge.net. It's similar to your other, your streaming sites, but this one gives you, access to all the games, and it gives you it's real time. So you're not having any lag or anything like that. The cool thing about SportSurge, it actually opens up to like several different servers. So you can choose between like 15 different streams and go with whatever one you feel fits your device the best. A lot of them is for like over the pond type stuff. So Great Britain streams. So sometimes you get like these weird British ads, but other than that, it's super cool and easy to use.
Okay. And hopefully that helps you out, Justin. I mean, this is something that we have looked at and we've talked about, and maybe next year we'll be set up to stream games. But for right now, we're definitely not set up to do that. Let's see right here. We got key on the run, make Bridgewater beat us with his arm, and it's shutting down. Well, what you shaking your head there, Alex? What do you think?
I don't agree. I think that we should let them have the run, and we're gonna have to shut down Teddy Bridgewater because, like you said, he's not a great quarterback by any means, but he can and he will destroy you with his arm if he has to. So. I just don't think that shutting down the run is going to give us much option. I think that, if we shut down the run, great. There's one player inactive, but if we shut down Teddy Bridgewater, then we shut down their whole wide receiver core, and it looks like our secondary has, a little bit of confidence going into the next week. So
I agree, but I think we can't just abandon trying to stop the run, or Davis is going to run all over us. I mean, right. Even with C-Mac, I believe C-Mac is out as anybody. Last I heard, he's listed as doubtful.
Yeah, he's out. He's on the inactive list.
Yeah, so but
so that means they got Mike Davis.
Yeah, Mike Davis he's a good fill-in for C-Mac. He's not as versatile, but he's still dangerous out of the backfield. He's caught 52 passes, so. Yeah. We need to sort of watch him too. So Tyler Tolbert says, do you think the receivers are frustrated with Locke and that's why they're not clicking on offense as well as the people thought they would? I don't know. I don't know how to answer this. I don't know what's going on in the rooms back there. I know it's been a frustrating season for all of us with injuries. just with COVID and everything. And I think that sort of, delayed the development and creating chemistry with your players, with not having OTAs, and you got a new playbook coming in and a new coordinator. So what are you guys' thoughts on this, Matt?
So I've said it once. I've probably said it 100 times already. So wide receivers are divas. It's a flashy position, man. Wide receivers get offended super easy. I mean, just look at some of the personalities throughout history. You got like Chad Johnson, Terrell Owens, Randy Moss. They're all divas, and they'll be the first ones to admit that they're divas. It's just a very flashy position. They want to be, shine bright in the big games when the lights are on them. So absolutely, even I would say that entire room, even the tight ends, is frustrated with the way that the passing game has gone this season. But they're also professionals. Some of them are young.
Well, most of them are.
Yeah, they got a couple vet guys in there. They have they have a couple vets in there. Like Nick Vanette, he could probably speak as a voice of reason. Things like that. You have some of those guys, but he's like you hit it on the nail. Chemistry's been a problem all year. We got to determine what's the root of that. The receivers are running solid routes, but if they're dropping the ball, they're at fault for that.
Right, and once you start dropping balls, Alex, the quarterbacks start to lose confidence in you, and it's hard for them to regain that confidence. So how does Locke, build some better chemistry with these receivers over these next 4 games?
It's like I've been saying since the beginning of the show. It's gonna be simple. It's got to be plain and simple from the get go. And once you get that simple, once you walk, you can learn how to run. So once you can figure out these 5 to 10 yards ins, crossing routes, whatever it may be, drag routes across the middle. Once you figure out the simple things about football, that's when you can move into the more advanced things, the things that Kansas City's doing, the things that championship caliber teams are doing, even the Raiders are doing it with their depleted wide receiver core. Just we got to figure out how to do the simple things first, and then we can move on to higher octane things. And I think that at the end of the day, going back to Tyler Tolbert's question, I think that they are. I think everybody in that building is going to be upset with the way Locke's playing because the expectations at the beginning of the season for him were so high. Especially the way he led us to a 4-1 the year before in his 5 starting games. The expectations were so high, and to be sitting at where we're currently at is just not okay with anybody in the Denver Broncos organization, I would have to assume. So.
And I agree. And Matt, you always hear it, let the guy make some easy throws and gain some confidence, get into the flow of the game. And I think that's the way we need to attack it today. Come out, hit the easy route, and then let's try to open it up a little, but he has to make smart decisions. He can't throw in these double and triple coverages anymore and kill us. So,
and he's got to.
Sorry.
No, okay, sorry. I think we had something going on there. So one thing I want to highlight, with Locke, we highlighted the receiver's fault in this, but it's just as much on the quarterback. Even at these 5 to 10 routes, we've seen Drew struggle. Whether it's him leaving the pocket too early, or I constantly mention happy feet. The dude never just settles down. He just rushes things sometimes. So I think let's flip it, put it on Locke. Let's see, Locke, you need to calm down a little bit. Let's see you plant your feet, because he even if you're, he wants to rely on that arm, which is great. It's, he has a strong arm, but on those 5 to 10 routes, that's where the accuracy really needs to step in. It's not about, how hard you can throw it. It's about how well you can throw it. So he's going to have to trust his process, plant his feet if we want to see success, even in the 5 to 10 yards. If he can't do that, then, we'll go back to the same conversation we've had a couple weeks ago.
Right.
Is Locke the guy?
No, and I agree. And Locke needs to come out and he needs to execute and make some plays. And Diana Slade even said it earlier. They need to execute plays better. And that's what it's about. We need to execute plays better. So let's go back to defense. How many points do you think we can hold this Carolina offense to today? And how many points are we going to have to hold them to allow our offense a chance to win this game? We'll start with you, Alex.
As far as we've seen this defense go this season, I think that, in all reality, I think the most that we can, that this Denver defense is going to give up is 17 points. I would not be surprised to see them only give up 10. I know that this Carolina offense is a pretty good one, Teddy Bridgewater and, their running game and their wide receiver core. But I think that the way that our defense is playing, I think that we could realistically hold into 10 points. And as long as Drew Lock and company can go out there and score more than 10 points, I think we have a W on our hands. So I just think that this defense has held this team together this year, and I think they do it again this week.
Okay, Matt.
So as for points, I have them in my prediction at 10. I think for the Broncos to effectively win this game, it has to be a 10-point game. Our offense just cannot put up the points. The chemistry is not there. If the run game is going and we can control the clock, then maybe we could allow them to score 14. We get 21, something like that. But I had us at a 17-10 win because we're able to control the clock. But I don't think they can. If the Panthers score more than 14 points, the game's over. The Broncos offense just isn't where it needs to be. Like I said, no chemistry, too many injuries. It's going to be tough to overcome.
No, I agree. In this comment here, enough about Locke flogging a dead horse, and that's not our intention here. We're just talking about the game plan here. We're not trying to flog Locke. We're not putting Locke on trial right here, right now. We're just talking about a game plan that we have to execute. So, and Locke has to do his share of making it happen.
It's all about improvement. That's what we need to see. That's what we're hoping for here on this show, is just to see Drew continuously make improvements. That's what we're hoping for.
Right.
So I don't have to put Locke on trial because Colin Cowherd's already doing it for me. So
Locke is putting himself on trial, man.
Right. Here's another one. Locke is too cocky. I see at times, lack of maturity. I think he does have a little cockiness, and you want your quarterback to have some of that swagger, and things like that. But I think there's a difference between having swagger, and last year, he seemed to have that swagger, and this year he seems a little more cocky than just walking around with swag. What do you think?
Last year we've seen a couple of cool things with the Buzz Lightyear and stuff, but like you said, last week when we seen him put you mentioned it in the live stream, covering his ears to block out the haters or whatever the heck his reasoning was. I mean, score some touchdowns, and then let's see that confidence. Let's see us in a good place.
All right, Diana has a good comment here. Our D is amazing. They're doing 90% of the work, but they're also getting tired because of how much time they're on the field. And I agree with that 100%. I mean, our defense goes out there and they ball out just like they did against Kansas City. But when it came to crunch time, and they had to make a stop, they were just tired. They were wore out, and they couldn't stop Kansas City on that long, 5-minute drive that they went down to kick that field goal. So the offense needs to help the defense out here. The offense needs to extend drives, but the defense needs to help itself out too and get off the field on third downs as well. So what are the keys, Alex, to getting off the field on third down and, keeping Carolina to short drives?
The key is going to be my motto in this game is keep it simple. What we got to do is we got to be safe and sound. We got to be assignment tight, gap tight, whatever it may take. You just got, if it means you go out there and you make a form tackle, then you got to do it. It's got to happen. Our key is going to be keeping it simple and, being aggressive. I like the way that Vic Fangio's been calling the defensive side of the ball the last couple weeks, even against Kansas City, with the way he's using the blitz and the way that he's kind of, calling out some of these offensive weaknesses. So I think that if we can continue doing things like that and, continue on with what Diana is saying, with our defense being 90% of our team, as long as they play the way they've been playing basically the whole year, I don't see any problem with us winning this game. And I think that it'll result to Carolina having a lot of third or three and outs. So.
Okay, everybody out there, we're 21 minutes away from kickoff. Start shooting in your score predictions here. We want to see them. We'll go ahead and put them out. We'll take sort of an unofficial poll here on who we think is going to win. And during the last 5 minutes, we'll give our predictions. Matt's sort of already given a glimpse at his, but it may change. Yeah, but who knows? Based on developments this morning, that they may change. So, all right. Alex, does this segment is called, getting to know your Broncos, and this man, Justin Simmons, that Alex is going to feature here in his video, and then we'll talk a little bit about Jay Simmons and what he means to this Bronco defense and what his future looks like here with the Denver Broncos. So
I'ma grind while they pay to be ringside, too live. Feeling like it's game time, new ride. Cash on deck, putting up stats while I cash these checks. Game time, game time. Suit up, it's game time. Yeah. Work. Don't stop, don't stop.
all right, Alex, go ahead and give us some info on Jay Simmons.
All right. Well, so if you've been here in Denver, you haven't missed Justin Simmons at all. So the biggest thing, he came from Boston College, great player, not so much a hard hitting safety, as much as a coverage safety. The dude will do whatever he can to get his hands on the ball, and we've seen it here in Denver the last couple years. The main reason I wanted to point him out today to get to know our Denver Bronco is because the Broncos just awarded him the Walter Payton Man of the Year. So just hats off to Justin Simmons, always being that guy, always bringing 110%, a leader on this defense if I've ever seen one, and just a great man, just someone who I think will always be a factor in this NFL. As long as he's on the football field, he's going to be a factor. So one fun fact that me and Justin Simmons have in common, big Call of Duty fan. He even has a Twitch that he streams on from occasion, and just great guy. If he plays Call of Duty, he's my kind of guy. So,
all right. Yeah, let's talk a little bit about Justin Simmons. He started out this year, sort of rough. I think his first game, 2 games maybe, he had some rough games, and people were saying that this guy doesn't deserve, to be paid as one of the top safeties in the NFL, but now you sit and you look at the stats, Matt, and this guy's one of the tops in the league.
Yeah, I think Pro Football Focus has him rated as the number 2 free safety in the league right now. So that would be 2 consecutive years. I think he's sitting in that 2 spot. He's going to get paid wherever he goes. As most of us know, he's playing on the franchise tag this year. The hopes Denver finds a way to keep him here is we want, he's the type of guy you want in your locker room. So hopefully we may find a way to make him a Bronco for life. That'd be huge with, his community activism, his locker room, his locker room leadership, things like that. Alex hit it on the head. He's a center fielder. He does whatever he can do to get, the ball in his hands. So we highlighted a Darian Stewart for the same reasons. The guy sits back there. He's patient, follows the quarterback, and finds ways to snag the ball. We've seen him do it a couple of times this year. Definitely improved. You hit it on the nail when you said he struggled at the beginning of the year. But he's putting it together, man. He's putting up a nice resume for the offseason. Let's just hope he stays here.
He definitely is, and we had talked about, moves, off-season moves before, and before Denver locked up Bowles, we were talking about, well, Denver will probably have to franchise tag Bowles or something, and that leaves Simmons out there. So do we see another franchise tag maybe slapped on him if they can't work something out?
It's hard because there's a significant increase in the tag and the way it works. So if we tag in 2 years, it jumps up by like a significant percentage. So it would be like, adding roughly $3 to $4 million on top of what its tag was this year.
Right.
So, I mean, at that point, if you're going to pay him 16 million for 1 year, what's the point to sign him for, 15 if he's willing to take it?
Yeah. And that's true. So we got a comment here. Simmons getting nominated for Man of the Year makes it more important to sign him. That's kind of leadership we need. And I agree. This team, this last week, and our own Scott Cole, with Rocky Mountain Sports Report, wrote an article on this. So if you haven't read it, go check it out. But he wrote an article on leadership with the Broncos and the apparent lack of. So we need to lock up because leadership is important in sports, right, Alex? I mean, you got to have a leader and somebody who's going to help these young guys and stuff. So
Well, in a time like this where you have question marks all over your football team, you need something that's going to be consistent. And in that, you find Justin Simmons. He's been consistent. He's been a leader. You know what you're getting with him. His transparency is at 100%. And there's no way that you don't know what you're getting from Justin Simmons. Yeah, he had a tough couple weeks here at the beginning of this season, but look what he did. He turned it around, and like you guys said, at Pro Football Focus has him at number 2 now, again for the second year in a row. It just seems like there's, like I said before, too many question marks on this young team to be letting someone like Justin Simmons, who's a for sure thing, or as for sure as you can get in the NFL, and just let him walk away. So I think that signing Justin Simmons is going to be a big thing for this team. And if we let him walk, then you're going to see a lot of players disappointed and maybe see this team fall into a deeper hole than it's already in. So.
And I agree. I think that the Broncos, this has to be maybe their number one priority in the off seasons. And I'll throw up the hashtag right now, pay Jay Sims. And I think we need to solidify that defense because we're probably going to see A.J. Bouye gone. I don't know if the Broncos are really going to hold on to him, especially after this 6-game suspension due to PEDs. K-Jack's not sure about him. So we're going to need some consistency back there. We're going to need somebody who is going to be a leader on this defense. And I think Jay Sims is that guy, and we definitely need to lock this guy up. So let's see. We got one score in here from Jason Kennedy, 17-13 Broncos. I
was going to ask you to highlight this one. So on top of the potential Bouye loss, which you just mentioned, we keep talking about trying to sign, players like Justin Simmons. So I've given like a rough cap breakdown on War Room Wednesdays multiple times. So right now we're sitting at roughly $25 million. After we do our restricted free agents and our exclusive rights free agents and our draft class, that all counts towards next year's cap right away. We're roughly at $11 million. So $11 million is not even enough to send some of our bottom tier guys. You'll be able to keep some of the depth around, but I mean, some of the surprising stars and special teamers, they're going to command $2 to $3 million each. So that's just not enough. We're going to have to come up with ways to definitely open up the cap room. Releasing Bouye frees up about 13. Von Miller, if he's not on the Broncos roster, if Broncos decline his option this offseason, frees up $17.5 million. That's huge. We may be asking ourselves, who do we want on this team? Do we want Von Miller or do we want Justin Simmons? It may come down to that decision. And without hopefully not catching too much backlash, Justin Simmons is just too valuable to lose right now. He's in his prime. Vaughn, you've done great. Maybe restructure. I don't know. He seemed unwilling, but if it came down to it, I'd have to take Justin Simmons just on the leadership role he's playing. The secondary is already one of our weakest spots on the defense, and with the rise of Malik Reed, I mean, he's been phenomenal this year.
Yeah,
and also with Bradley Chubb on the other side of it, we got a younger, more versatile kind of Von Miller-esque kind of player. I just think that we haven't seen Bradley Chubb in his element yet. We've seen flashes of him being a great pass rusher, but at the end of the day, we just need to see him take it to the next level. But we also have to think about Von Miller's age. He is getting up there for a pro football player. I think he's 30 years old, 32 years old. Would we want to pay someone the same amount of money that we've been paying them when, like we've seen, he's been injured all year? Or are we going to pay someone like Justin Simmons, who hasn't missed a snap in over 2 years? So, in my opinion, I know I'm going to catch a bunch of heat for this, but I'd rather see Justin Simmons in a Broncos uniform than Von Miller. So
I agree 100%.
Yeah, I think we're on the same page.
Yeah. So, all right. It's getting to be about that time. One thing I want to, rest in peace to Paul Howard, a great Bronco from back in the 70s, 80s era, and sad to see him go. So rest in peace to him. Condolences to the Howard family and to Bronco country. So, all right, let's get on to it. Alex, Matt, and I have put our predictions out already on the Rocky Mountain Sports Report. So we're going to start with you first and let you go.
All right.
Let us know.
First thing is, I think our defense holds up again here today. I think they play the same they've always played this year. I think they hold Carolina to 10 points, and I think Drew Lock comes up with a big-time drive to end the game, and I think we go down there and we score 3 points, a final score 13-10, Broncos.
All right. All right.
Okay.
Matt?
So, when we gave our predictions, we submitted them yesterday. It was a little bit different, the story with we didn't know some of these, late inactives, Garrett Bowles, and Sylvester Williams, but that's not going to change my prediction much. I have the Broncos winning 17-10. I expect, like I said earlier, Robbie Anderson to have a huge game. The goal is just to keep him out of the end zone. Let's keep him in that red zone where we've been super efficient. One of the top teams, top red zone defenses in the league this year. So let's hold him to those field goals. Hopefully we can keep him. We control field position with the run game. We control the clock. I say Locke hits Vance on a game-winning touchdown to make it 17-10.
All right, and I hope you're right. So, and like you said, Matt, a lot has changed since we wrote our predictions. We didn't expect Garrett Bowles to be out. I'm going to go and I'm going to say, the Denver Broncos are still going to win. I had them winning 23-17, I believe, or 23-16. I'm not going to give Denver that many points now. I think our defense is going to step up. I think we're going to hold them in the 10 to 13 point range. I'm going to pick the Denver to win this 16-13. Diana picks 21-17. Looks like a lot of people think the Broncos can pull this one out. Let's hope they do. Everybody, game starts in 9 minutes. Go enjoy it. We'll see you at halftime, Matt and I will. Everybody, have a great one, and we will see you at halftime. Thanks. Peace out.
Later, guys.
See you later.